to Math Majors C Party. We are a student organization, NU SIAM. We focus on applied math, and we conduct events related to this field, like guest lectures with alumni, people in industry, lectures, research talks with professors, midterm nights, and so on. So my name is Mulder. I'm a third-year math major student, and I'm going to be the host of today's event. Before we start, let me quickly go through the agenda of today's session. Today we're going to have 4 guests, and after each speech, we will have a short Q&A session, and in the end, there will be a long Q&A session. So the first guest is Professor Domin Wei. He is a chair of math department. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I guess you can start.
You mean I can start talking? Give a talk?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you for SIAM leadership to organize this very wonderful meeting, and I'm so glad that to see many students are here, and also I'm so glad to see Galymzhan here, and also that will join us. He's a long time friend. So now I was student, but then friends. Okay, so now I want to say that this is my first sentence is that this is the best time in human life to be a math major. Okay, so congratulations, all math majors. Okay, I'm very happy doing mathematics. I hope that you enjoy doing mathematics. As this society is become more and more digitized, I mean, everything is based on data calculations. And so we find we can do a lot of work in different fields. Okay, not just as a mathematician, but we can work in other fields as they are mathematician. So I'm sure Galymzhan and other can tell you more about some specific, data science, other parts of it. So in my career, when I started, I always want to see how mathematics is actually used in a real life. I want to see how an equation can be effectively affecting some human life. So when I went to USA, first course I took some applied mathematics course as well as pure mathematics courses. But then one day I beginning to doubt that why do I spend so much time studying this Laplace-Poisson equation, Laplace U equals F, and this Navier-Stokes equation later on. I could not believe that such a little one-line equation can have such impact to real life. So I began to doubt all this. My math professors, not too many of them actually doing real applications. So I started taking some engineering courses across the engineering school. When I finished my math requirement, when I was writing my thesis, I took controls theory, electrical engineering, material science, fluid mechanics, computer-aided design. I realized that indeed these equations play a very, very important role in applications. So because of my curiosity and diversity when I was doing math, and actually it benefited me a lot more later on in my career, as probably some of you know, that I have, since I joined NU, I started doing a lot of engineering mathematics, like with actual very practical applications. I work with multiple number of faculties in engineering school. In particular, I work with Professor Asma, Professor Dichan, Professor Jonkin, Professor Speeters. We had like close to $3 million of grants on various applications. One of them is to design polymer extrusion dies for, to build a Nazarbayev University engineering company. This being funded by Ministry of Education for 3 years, and now it's funded by NU for 3 more years. And next, we're going to apply for commercialization grant for 3 more years. It's a long-term project. It's all because of curiosity. When I was younger, I was curious about how to apply math to engineering. So now finally, years later, it just pays off. So I hope that all of you even you just want to study. I know 50% of our students want to do data science and finance. I don't have complaint about that. It's very important that you do that. And 50% of our graduates in the 2019, 2020, about 50% go into data science and financial mathematics. That's important. But I just want to point out that it's very important that you take and learn other mathematics. For example, all this data science recently, at this point, are based on Gaussian distributions, a few distributions, but there are many, many more distributions in related to data science that has not yet been fully utilized in data science and image processing, etc. So just be curious, okay, for the science viewpoint, love what you do and find love what you do, and not just for money, for career. Career money will come naturally later on. Okay, that's my speech. Any questions for me?
That was wonderful.
Thank you, Thompson. You're my man.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Really, it was a good.
So I have a question. I do have a question. So what is your current interest? What research areas do you working on currently?
Well, I have 3 ongoing active research groups and grants doing in my traditional engineering mathematics. And we have weekly seminars, meetings like 3 or 4 times for 3 different groups. But on the side, I've been, I started teaching actuarial mathematics in 2016 at NU, developed 2 courses, contingency, life contingency, which you took that class.
Yeah.
And I prepare actuarial 3, which is based on Black-Scholes equation, stochastic, options pricing. But now I'm very glad that Professor Kurim and Professor Rustim showing very much interest in taking over these courses. Now I'm developing master level courses in computational finance with Professor Peter Skrapach. I have done many capstone research projects on using various different ways to manage the risk. Traditional risk management is based on normal distribution and correlation with one numbers, but there are a lot more going on there. So on the side, without research grant, but I'm working with Professor Thierry Post, who is the head of Master of Finance Department program in NU. So I have 2 PhD students writing PhD thesis on portfolio optimization based on stochastic dominance. That answers your question? Any other questions?
I have a question. Professor Wei, what can you say about actuarial mathematics? What is the future of this field, and maybe in Kazakhstan in particular?
Kazakhstan, I think, is starting to use a lot of actuarial mathematics. In particular, since a few years ago, you have noticed that if your parents work, they have been deducting 10% of our salary and put in a fund by actuarial. So in particular, one of our graduate alumni is working in that direction, and it's very important that. But it's just starting, since the medical insurance policies that we bought are from Europe, from abroad, and we have offices here, but we're not doing the actual computations here. Only a few people in a few banks that's doing that, but I can see it's going to grow, because actuarial math has 3 different areas of in life, like the retirement account. The government managed that. It's getting bigger and bigger. They need more and more people to do investment, balancing the portfolio using actuarial math and pension fund of Kazakhstan, and also medical insurance, although we don't have any medical insurance company in Kazakhstan. Also auto casualty insurance, although the policy maybe is both, we use companies from Europe, but eventually Kazakhstan will have to develop these areas too. But the pension fund is already started. And there's also actuarial society. But if it's if you are just an actual person, you can also work for the big four company instead of doing the routine actual this so-called monitoring the cash flows, like what is called it name. You can do a higher level job by doing the actual work for the big four company, and some of our students are already doing that.
Okay, thank you for the answer.
Okay, so in the end, we'll have a long Q&A session with all speakers. So now let's continue. Let's welcome our next guest, who is Galymzhan Kenesbekov. He is a new alumnus, and currently he works as a data scientist. Okay, so Galymzhan, you can start.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's my pleasure to give a talk with my close friend and professor, Domin Wei. Well, he has actually a Kazakh name. His name is Daulet, but nobody knows about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so my speech is gonna be not only about my experience, but I would like to give you some bit of motivation, I think, for your future career. So, first of all, let me give a little intro. My name is Galymzhan Kenesbekov, as Mulder said. I studied math at math department in applied mathematics. Then I applied to Illinois State University 3 days prior to the deadline, and I was just 1 day before the graduation ceremony. So it is a very, very interesting story. And the reason why I was accepted is because I got good recommendation letters by Professor Wei, Professor Skripach, and I forgot the third recommendee. And yeah, so I think this was a key factors in the letter, of course. So when I initially applied for actuarial science, because I took 2 courses with like life contingency and theory of interest, which is like actuarial 1 and actuarial 2 in math department. After the first semester, I decided to switch to applied statistics because I found it is more intriguing for me, and it had a very, very how should I say, big impact in my life, I think. So second point I would like to mention is there is a famous quote I always, not a famous quote obviously, but there is one quote which I always say to people. I don't know, does this quote has an order? If not, please give me some, how should I say? So in life, there are so many equations and you have to fit into your own. Why I say so is because this is just an example. Initially, when I went to Nazarbayev University, I started the chemistry major. Then math department because so I think I found my equation life. What about my current occupation? Right now, I work as Mulder said, as a data scientist / data analyst, because I'm the only one who works in this company at that role. So what I was going to tell her. Also on Saturdays, I teach at Nazarbayev University. I teach abstract mathematics, which is very equivalent to our introduction to real analysis 1. I teach further calculus, which is calculus 3, and math for economics, it is calculus 1. Calculus 2, I'm sorry. So last year, when I was a course instructor, I taught statistics 1 and 2 in first, and this year I became senior course instructor, and I was given one additional class to teach. Besides the work, I am a, how should I say, full-time jiu-jitsu practitioner. I don't want to brag about my accomplishments, but when I was studying at Illinois State University, I was competing at the state championships, and I won 5 of them. When I was preparing for nationals there, unfortunately, the COVID situation appeared, and it switched our plans for all of us. So, yeah, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing I forgot to mention. I'm a huge fan of the research papers, but I'm not a huge fan of writing them. I'm a huge fan of finding the analogies. For example, if I read something, I try to find an analogy in real life. So yeah, this is also my passion, I would say. So yeah, this was my long speech, I think. So I do enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Yeah, it was really useful. If anyone has questions, you are welcome to ask. Oh yeah, Timurlan has a question.
Yeah, by the way, thanks for coming. And as far as I know, you should have trainings right now, right? So much thanks for devoting time.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you, so you work at, you have 2 jobs, and how do you compare work as a data scientist or maybe in industry with working as a tutor, as a professor?
For me, teaching, so let me start by saying this. I love learning. I don't like studying. I love learning new things because it's kind of, maybe it's because of my mentality, but when you use the word, it's like under the pressure. But when you say learning, it's like you enjoy it, you show the passion for it. So, but what I like more than is teaching, actually. And I try to avoid our old teaching style, I would say, where there is a clear line between professors and students. I love teaching in terms of, how should I say, like storytelling. And why I like this approach is because data science and data analytics, you basically, what you do is just tell the story through the data. All right. So Professor Wei mentioned that there is a big hype in data science, and it is not quite explored that what else can we use from math into the data science. So this is a very, very big and huge question, I think. That's why, yeah. So while I'm teaching, I'm sorry for giving an expanded, let's say, answer. But while I'm teaching, I'm still learning, right? I'm still learning what can I apply in data science so that my models will be more accurate, will give less error, and will give, for example, in decision tree less entropy, and so on and so forth. All right. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like the Feynman method, right? Like learning and relearning by teaching.
Yeah, it's like a reinforcement learning when you try to, teach as a baby, like a baby.
Kate, there is a question in the chat. Yeah, which courses you took at university were the most useful for data science?
Oh, actually, so there's a recommended 5 ones, I think. This is a linear algebra. This is data structures. I know this is very, very demanding and challenging course, but guys, listen to me. I didn't take that class when I was studying, and I regret about it, And that's why I'm teaching myself, Why I'm saying you have to learn data structures is because it will help you to write proper code or script, right? For example, when I wrote the script to parse the колеса KZ, first code was so heavy. It was like, for example, in order to parse the whole website, it took me around 4 hours. Right now, it takes around maybe 45 to 55 minutes. It depends on the number of advertisements I need. So it helped me, but I'm still newbie in that sphere. This is the second course. The third one, I would highly recommend you to take any course which will give you a very good and solid background in finance or economics, all right? It is not necessary to be like financial, I don't know, like at 400 level. It's not necessary. I will give you just maybe, I don't know, 200, at most 200, maybe 300, it depends on the course. Why I'm saying so is because you have to understand data doesn't come just by itself. It comes with a, how should I say, environment maybe, with some source. And in order to understand it better, why these particular features appear where it shouldn't be, you have to understand the real data, all right? And what else? Maybe fourth, yeah, this is, by the way, do you have SQL class, SQL in IT department? If not, please learn it. Please learn it. Yes, I think so. Other than that, yeah, so basically we use R. I'm sorry, we use, because it's more beautiful, I think. We use SQL in data science. We use Power BI or Tableau, right? But Power BI is a Michael Jordan in basketball, in sphere of data analytics, I would say. While Tableau is just, I don't know, other guys from basketball. Sorry for being biased, but it's true. What else I was going to say? Yeah, data science is very, very huge sphere. Like data mining, it's a different story, all right? Big data, data analytics, computer vision, what else? AI, yeah, so ML, there are a bunch of situations, but it will give this core, and obviously statistics, right? All of them. I would probably not stochastic processes, sorry, Professor Domin Wei, but regression analysis, statistics 1 and 2. What else do you guys have right now? All these fundamentals you have to take. It's like must. So yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
May I add a few words on data science?
Yes, sure.
Basically, over the years, I've seen many students getting into data science from different angles. Okay, the data science part, it's very broad, like Galymzhan say. Yeah, you can enter data science from different angles. In particular, it all depends on which data, what kind of data you are studying. For example, people study image processing. For example, in the medical field, they scan our human brain, our organs, they become images. Images can be represented by data, and then how do you do data mining out of images? So this involves diffusion equations, partial differential equations, computational PDEs, that's image processing, plus statistics probability distribution. And I have students who work on data science, but they're very specialized. For example, in the USA, you are a data scientist only for cancer research, or you're a data scientist for example, diabetes. So it has to be specialized. Like Galymzhan said, you need to take economics courses. That means if you're doing studying data from economics, of course, you take a lot of economic courses. Yep. So it heavily depends on the type of data that you're mining.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for Galymzhan. Actually, I have two questions. First is, can you tell what you do at Task Group exactly? From what I heard, Power BI, you are probably visualizing the statistics like business analytics. Can you please tell more about your job? And the second one, how do you think, is master's degree a must for a data scientist?
Right, so it's very, very interesting question, because right now, so as I told you, I use Power BI to visualize the data, right? So Task Finance Group is a microfinancial company which gives you based on the car, like a security. Залоговая, да? Yes. So in order to understand which car we need to take, what is the liquidity, and should be the percentage, and what is our risk to give a loan, right? That's why I parse the KZ, so that to see what is the demand and supply in our country, right? I studied our data like retrospectively, I would say, what was our percentage in what we had actually, like what was the risk. Basically, Power BI is a very good tool so that you can just feed the data into it, and it will give you in real time everything you need to know. Right, as I told you. For example, let me just tell you about my dashboard. Dashboard is a report in the Power BI, it's called a dashboard, right? So our company uses a Telegram bot to say that you're late or you have a request to leave the job earlier or whatever might be the reason, right? So my colleague, he wrote the script in PHP. My job is to visualize the data and show it to our HR department so that they can take actions, right? And answering, last point about that one. Currently, I'm working on the project. I'm more like a data scientist. So basically, I try to see the correlation between scoring models by PKB and other banking systems, and I created our, like, I cannot say mine, even I did it by myself purely. I would say our company did it, all right? So how should I say? So basically the correlation between the different models and which one we should use for either, by how much is better, right? All these kind of things. Answering to the second question, mass background or diploma, right? It's not required, but it is much more stronger than having other diplomas, like, I don't know, like social scientist, or I'm not trying to offend somebody, but when you study 4 years long the maths, you already trained your brain to think properly, I would say, like in terms of maths, in math way, all right? So to catch, for example, if you made a mistake in your code or in your logic, the time you need will be much less than the person who, like, I don't know, who didn't study math, I would say, the advanced math, I would say. like 300 and 400 level courses, right? That's why it's kind of, you know, I don't like when people say, can I say this kind of things? I don't like when people say that they study CS major and that they are data scientists, you know. They might be very good computer engineers or whatever, but without a very good foundation in math, like I'm not saying about diplomas, but with very solid foundation in math, I will doubt your knowledge, I would say, you know. And also I would like to add to my point that getting a diploma is very good. It's very prestigious, especially in our country, right? If you graduate from Nazarbayev University, you're like almost like a god. But there is always a but. You have to do twice as more than you studied in Nazarbayev University to become, let's say, middle level professional, I would say. Everything what I studied at Nazarbayev University, at Illinois State University, helped me, right? But you know, to apply the knowledge which you acquired, you have to study more. You have to choose between your domains and between your knowledge. So basically, you're using your brain like a Google. You have to Google inside your brain which information you should use. Is it clear? No.
It is. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
May I add a few sentences about this?
Sure. Sure.
About the degree, okay? I have seen many successful NU students from math department. Some of them went to well-known or went to USA to study a master's degree and come back to work in the data science and other financial fields. But there are other students who had to go to work. They didn't have chance to go to graduate school for master's degree for various reasons. But I have seen examples of successful examples of becoming a data scientist without a master's degree. Simply, they just learn from the job and they take weekend evening courses from online courses from Coursera, right?
Yes,
the online courses. And you know, I have students getting the same job, one with a master's degree, one without a master's degree, learn from the job. The bottom line is that in the interview, they ask your technical details, you know, can you do this job? That's the bottom line. Of course, if a good degree, that's good, that's super good, can relax them a little bit before they interview you. And you don't have a master's degree, they will ask you more tough questions, but it doesn't mean that you cannot make it. I've seen students are making it big time.
Yes,
Okay.
actually, there is a big debate between these topics, you know, like traditional education and courses. I totally agree with the point of Professor Wei. Yeah. But self-study is the key. Doesn't matter. Are you studying master's degree? Are you studying on Coursera? Self-study is always required, I think. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Any other questions?
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes, sure.
Galymzhan? Yes, so can you compare your studies at Illinois and Nazarbayev University? What are the differences?
I love this question.
Was it harder or easier?
Let me give a concrete example, right? While I was studying at Nazarbayev University, real analysis, it was the most challenging, the most difficult, the most demanding in time required course in math department. And also I was taught by very intelligent professor, Alen, probably he's still teaching there. He's genius, right? It's not being biased, guys. I love him, respect him, but I gotta say, in that course. Yeah, so when I went to, and by the way, in that course, I didn't succeed, as I got to see, right? I barely understood the course, right? But when I went to ISU, for sure, right? Illinois State University, when I took the course video analysis, I was like fish in the sea, you know? I was understanding everything. So even if it's tough to study, my point of view, even if it's tough to study at Nazarbayev University, it will give you benefit. It will give its benefits in the future, and it will give the solid foundation for for in other universities or in your job too, right? For example, recently I applied for international company as a data scientist. I'm sorry, data analyst, and because of the English, which we speak almost every day, and because of the structured speech, I was promoted to middle data scientist, data analyst. I'm sorry. So what I'm trying to say is that study at Nazarbayev University plus self-study is a key to success, I would say. It's not being biased, guys. Seriously. And and also, and this is just only my story, right? And I have my peers who study at Hopkins University, at Purdue University, at Princeton University, all these prestigious universities. And you better tell me if our, let's say, system or knowledge was given at Nazarbayev University was weak. Can we study that? Can we achieve that point? So I think because of the professors, we can do that. We did it actually. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Galymzhan, for devoting your time and for your motivating speech. I guess there are no more questions, but if there will be, you will be able to answer them at the end of our speech, at the end of our session. And now let's...
Sorry, I wanted to add, I'm so rushed in time right now because of the situation I explained earlier. Can I leave, please? I'm so sorry. That it's very interesting discussion, but unfortunately I need to leave right now so that I will able to meet. Is it okay? If I can, I will join later. Right?
Yes, sure.
Like in 30 minutes.
Sure, thank you for...
Thank you so much, Professor. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, guys and Professor. It was very nice to meet you here. And recently, I'm sorry, on Thursday I'll be in Astana, so I will meet you there.
Okay, thank you again.
Bye.
So we can continue here. The next speaker of today's session is Alen Adiyev. He is a senior math major student. So Alen, I guess you can start sharing your screen.
Yeah, hello. So I guess I'm the only one who have a presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So today I will talk, again, my name is Alen. I'm a senior math major and computer science minor student. And today I want to talk about what it's like being a math major in our university and how can you do well in your studies and what's coming next after your degree. So first, let me introduce myself and what I did so far. So currently I'm doing a research with Professor Atakan and Professor Bruce from the robotics and physics departments. Before that, I was a research trainee at EMBL in Rome, and where I did research related to machine learning applications in neuroscience. And also I was a research assistant at ISAI at Nazarbayev University. I was a data science intern at GSAN Bank recently. And I also was a member of several clubs like NU Orchestra in the foundation year, SIAM, NU Data Science, and also last year I was a peer advisor at Academic Advising Office. And also I went to work and travel after the first year. So here's my first tip for you. So if you want to go to work and travel, please do it after your first year because there are a lot more things to do after your second and third years that are more important than work and travel. Okay, So now my tip number 2, if you want to succeed in your studies, you need to choose your courses wisely. So let me show you how to do this on my personal example. So here is a list of courses that I took, and you can see that highlighted in yellow are the core math courses. And please, I suggest you to prioritize these courses because they build your strong background in mathematics. And for example, you may think that abstract algebra or real analysis are very difficult and theoretical and they are not applied, so they are not important, but they still improve your analytical skills and they teach you how to think like a true mathematician. So they're also very helpful. And also, as you can see, I took several computer science courses because I decided to do a minor in computer science. And also, please choose relevant math electives because you don't want to waste your time studying relevant courses and to just waste your credits. So for example, if you decide to do a computer science minor like me, graph theory course, which is a math 407, it will be very helpful because, for example, in algorithms, computer science 270, and this is probably the most difficult and important computer science course, you will study the same graph algorithm that you studied in graph theory in mathematics. So you'll be ahead of other students. So, okay. But the question is, how can you decide, how can you choose relevant courses if you don't know what you want to study and what you want to do in your future? And here's tip number 3, decide on your future direction by the end of the second year. So as mathematicians, you have a very broad choice on your future career. For example, you can do research, you can do applied to theoretical research. You can find all the information about research at Nazarbayev University in this website. And you can also go to industry. You can work in finance, banking, or be a data analyst, data scientist. And it is really important to decide early because you can be much more productive in your 3rd and 4th year if you do this by the end of the 2nd year. Okay, so next is as soon as you decide what you want to do in your future, you should start working and building the skills in this direction. So you can do it in many ways, but most common at our university is becoming a research assistant. You can find a professor with interesting topic and just write an email and ask about doing research together. Or you can find the different summer internships, and it's very important to look for the internship opportunities. And if you will be able to land one abroad, that would be very great. What else? You can do your own personal projects and participate in different competitions. For example, if you're interested in data science or machine learning like me, so you can compete in Kaggle. This is a good place to start. And also online courses. They will show that you really like to study. For example, if you write it in your CV and recruiters see that you have a lot of online courses, it will show that you like to study and you want to develop your skills in the subject. And also, for example, conferences. Nowadays, many conferences are held online, and it became easier to participate in them. And you have some good results in your research. You can even publish it in a journal or present in a conference. That would be very great. And also you can apply to different scholarships like USANF and others, and that will build your main skills in your area and create a good CV. And finally, I won't say that networking is really important. Talk to professors, find good friends with the same goals, with the same interests, join clubs according to your interests. And also, if you want to continue studying after bachelor's, plan it very early and don't wait till the end. For example, yeah, you can take exams like GRE even in your first year, because GRE is valid for 5 years, and make a list of different universities, programs that you want to study, and again, talk to professors. They have a lot of experience and they would be really happy to help you and guide you. So these are my top 6 tips for you to be successful in your undergraduate studies. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Alen, for your speech. I have a question. Are you planning to apply for master's degree?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it right now. So as I said, I took these exams, and after the most deadlines, I guess, are in the winter, December and January. So now I'm choosing the programs and looking for different universities to do that.
Okay, since you have taken the exams, do you have any tips how to prepare for them?
Yeah, so the main tip is have enough time to prepare, not like me. So start early, as I said. So take GRE, for example, in your first or second year when you have more time, more free time than in your third or fourth, because it's not a very difficult exam, because it's just test your high school math and your English. So it's not a problem, I guess. Just take enough time to study.
Also, question. I have seen you several times playing table tennis near to the Daily Cup. So, who is the better player, you or Domin Wei?
Actually, I played with Domin Wei once, and he's really good. Yeah, he's better.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question to Alen?
One more question. Why, let's say, why do you like data science and machine learning? What made you like this field? And what exactly were you doing at Bank?
Okay, so how I came to machine learning is I actually wanted to do research with Professor Manat in my second year as I took graph theory. And I came to Professor Manat and talked to him. He said, okay, you can come to my other lectures and hear and be and listen to them. And then after that, I decided that it's not for me, it's too theoretical. And actually, Professor Manat suggested me that the data science and machine learning is now a hot topic. And then I just started to studying by myself on the Coursera, and it became really interesting to me. And about the Bank, so in industry, the main work that data science do, they just gather a lot of data. So it was parsing like hundreds of different websites to gather data, and then we were not even analyzing it yet, because I spent only 3 months there. So all the time I was just gathering the data.
Thank you.
There is a question in the chat. What was the best part of the research in Rome? In which sphere you conducted the research?
Yes, so the research was related to neuroscience, and it was very strange because I didn't know anything about neuroscience and biology. And I went there, and yes, so what was the best part? The best part was actually the team, that they accepted me very well, and they explained me all the stuff, how to do the experiments related to neuroscience. So we were actually imaging the real mice there. They were running on a treadmill and we were imaging their brain. And then my work was to analyze these images and to build some different machine learning models. So yeah, it was really unusual and interesting.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So if not, we will in the end, as I've already told, have a long Q&A session where you'll be able to ask your other questions, but now let's continue. So our next guest is Alen Adiyev. He is a new postdoctoral scholar in the mathematics department at Nazarbayev University. So Alen, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this event. It's an honor and pleasure to be here and to see you guys, to interact with you, to have conversations and discussions with you guys. So yeah, let me share my screen with you. I've prepared some slideshow for you guys. Just a sec. Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
All right, so today I would like to talk about, so the title of my today's presentation is PhD to do or not to do. So as Mulder already mentioned, I'm a new postdoc in the math department. I just joined 2 months ago, and this term I'm teaching linear programming, and Mulder is one of my students. So before I jump in and answer or attempt to answer this question, I'd like to briefly talk about my background. I'm actually an NU graduate. I was admitted into Nazarbayev University in 2010. That I was among the first cohort of students to join Nazarbayev University. Back then, Nazarbayev University was very different. It was smaller, much smaller. And the atrium for us was second block, third, fourth, and fifth blocks. That was our atrium. So we were allowed to go from the second block to the canteen, to the library, and back to the second block. But it was fun. It was actually very, the atmosphere was, I was happy with my friends and how the classes were taught by instructors. And we lived in the old dormitory, the one that was built, the very first that you see that has 4 rooms. It was very, the social life was, I don't complain about the social life back then. So in 2015, I graduated with a bachelor's in mathematics, and then I decided to do a master's degree. Back then, I wasn't sure whether to do a PhD or not. That was the question, right? But I was sure that I would like to do a master's degree. And so I went to England, to the University of Manchester. I did a master's degree, and that was funded by Bolaşap. And you know that master programs in England, they last for 1 year, most of them. And so they consist of 2 terms where you study, just like in bachelor's, and then you take, and then you need to write a master's thesis. You are given around 3-4 months to write a master's thesis. And then that's it. And that's the end of a master's program. And so they last 1 year and they're very intensive. At the start of my at the beginning of my master's program, I was thinking whether to do a PhD or not, but actually I was very convinced that I would like to do. I became very enthusiastic about research. I wanted to dedicate my life to research and to continue working in academia after doing PhD. And so I tried. I applied to Oxford University, and also I applied to the University of Manchester, where I was at. And so my application to Oxford University was successful. I was admitted into Oxford, but my funding, so that was an admission without funding, right? Without any scholarship. And I can't apply for Balashach again, because Balashach only fund students only once. There is a requirement, it's more complicated than that. But there is an institute in London called the Alen Turing Institute for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, and me and my supervisor applied there, and we got funded. So my PhD was funded through that institute. And I finished my PhD just this year. I defended my thesis in January in Kazakhstan. That was online, and my defense lasted for 4 hours. So now I'm here, Nazarbayev University, back, and I'm happy to be here, and happy to see my old professors, Domin Wei, I know Domin Wei, Mark Lawrence, Kenesbekov, Asalbekov, Mark, who else? Francesca Sica, all of them I know, and they know me. All right, so the next slide is PhD to do or not to do. Right. So as you may have already guessed, my talk is tailored for junior and senior students. So if you're first or second year, you can listen to the talk, of course, but my aim is to address senior students here. So if you're thinking whether to do a PhD or not, well, then consider the following points I have written on my slide. So first, I think the main reason why to do a PhD, if you want a career in academia or you want to do research in some company. So for example, you want to become a researcher in Google or Facebook, right? Or you want to become a professor, do research. Then PhD in our modern life, nowadays is crucial to have. Right? The main aim of the PhD is not to become second Einstein, Albert Einstein, or John Nash. The aim of a PhD is to train to do research. And I'll repeat that again. The aim of the PhD is to train to do research. That's the aim. Okay, let's move on to the second side of the table, the other side of the table, and why not to do a PhD, right? So, and I mentioned here missing on other career opportunities. Well, that's kind of obvious. If you dedicate time for a PhD, then you are missing out other. You are sacrificing your time, right? So your friend maybe, maybe you may have joined some company and started working, but you are in a PhD, right? After 5 years, he will have 5 years of experience, and you've got a degree you've got a PhD degree. And the question is, who is better, right? Who has more skills? Who is more kind of adapted, and who has greater potential in his career? And the answer depends, right? There is no one answer here. It depends on your circumstances and on your desires, on your what you want from your careers. So if you want to be an academician, you want to work in academia, then of course you need to do a PhD. But if you want to work in a sphere in a realm where research is not needed, then well, you need to think twice before doing a PhD. Okay, so other reasons to do a PhD: greater salary. You can go to topuniversities.com, and I've got this information from there. In the long term, people who has PhD degrees, they earn more, okay, than those who have just master's degrees. And also another reason to do a PhD is that you have more opportunities to continue working abroad. Basically, when you do a master's abroad, right, you've got only 1 year or 2 years, and it's very intense, right? You don't have time to expand your network, to adapt to the local environment. But when you do a PhD, you've got a bit of more time, and you've got 4 years, and it's not that intense as master's. You expand your network, you already adapt to the local environment, you know where and what, and so you've got more time to figure out what job you want to work, what job you want to do, right? And that time allows you to be more prepared and to build up your portfolio nicely, and also to have some money to as a financial help if you won't be able to find a job for a substantial amount of time. Reasons not to do a PhD, other reasons, well, there is a high chance of never finishing. According to timeshighereducation.com and wiley.com, 20% of doctoral students who start a PhD, they never finish in the UK, and that percentage is around 40 or 50% in the US. There are two reasons why people don't finish their PhDs. First reason is they just give up. They lose motivation. They don't see a purpose in doing a PhD, continue doing a PhD. And the second reason, they fail their vivas. So at the end, you have a viva, that's a thesis defense, right? And they just fail it. The examiners, they don't like their research, and they think that the work is not mature enough to earn them a PhD degree, and so they won't graduate. And lastly, a PhD is a lonely and lengthy journey. It lasts for 4 or 5 years, and if you go abroad and do a PhD alone without a family, then that might be a lonely journey for you. All right, so suppose that you have decided to do a PhD, right? You are certain about it, you are motivated. Then you pay attention to these 2 points. When choosing a PhD candidate, what does the selection committee look at, right, when choosing a candidate from a pool of applications? Well, they look at two main things. First of all, your future supervisors, they want their PhDs to be competent with the material. They want their PhDs to be able to read research papers, to be able to do math, to be able to present their work. And they gauge this, right, by looking at your GPAs. So they look at your GPAs, they look at the recommendation letters, GRE tests, other tests, and they say, okay, this guy is legit, he can do a PhD. Or they may say, well, his GPA is too low. No, I'm gonna choose another candidate. That is the first criteria. The second criteria is motivation to do a PhD, to do research. Right? If you don't have motivation to do research, then I suggest you don't risk starting a PhD. Without a motivation, it's very hard to survive. And I know that from my own experience. They look at your personal statements, the recommendation letters, and they see whether the student is motivated or not. In your personal statement, you will write things like, oh, I like this research, I already did this, I already did that, I did an internship here, I read this book, and that shows that you are motivated. And recommendation letters, your professors write, oh, I know that this student has done this, and I know that he's very interested in research, so on and so forth. Okay, so these are two things, right? Now let's talk about a bit about funding. And I'm going to talk about the UK specifically because I was there and I don't know how funding works in the US, or vaguely know, or in other countries. So here we have UK. For master's program, getting funded is very low. So the only opportunity, or one of the opportunities you have, is Bolashab. Oxford also, for example, has Clarendon funding, but it's very competitive. Other types of funding include fundings that are specific to ethnicities and programs. So, for example, if you are a Syrian refugee or a refugee from Afghanistan, then they may have some special programs. Also, yeah, it depends on programs as well. Like if you're doing some specific program, like in Islamic studies, theology, they may have separate funding for that. For PhD programs, the chance of getting funded is high. Again, there is Clarendon funding in Oxford. But also there is funding from industries. That's why you have more chances of getting funded. So the people from industry come, they want, they have their own math problems, right, to solve. So they come and they propose their problems. They do a poster presentation. Students come and they pick and choose. And whatever problem you have chosen, that's your PhD thesis. And the industry, it's a win-win situation. The industry pays for your PhD and you solve their problem, right? Also, there's university also has its internal grants and separate institutes in Oxford, in Manchester, they may have their own separate grants. So there is a high chance of getting funded. I ought to mention here that in the UK, if you are applying for a PhD program, there is an assumption that you already have a master's degree. So applying for a PhD program from here, from Nazarbayev University, you have very slim chances of getting in. Okay. But you may get in, depending on the university, of course. I'm not sure, but the expectation is that you already have a master's degree before applying to a PhD. All right, and how much time have I got left?
As much as you want.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I guess this is my last slide. So one thing that I want you to leave, you with is this advice. Having a good mentor supervisor is important. So in a PhD, right, when choosing a supervisor, you can't really choose your supervisor. I mean, so to be successful in your PhD, you need to have a good relationship with your supervisor, and your supervisor must be good. I mean, he must be caring, supportive supervisor. It's very difficult to do a PhD, to finish a PhD. Your PhD life gets more difficult if you have a supervisor who doesn't really care about your research. And so, like, what's your choice? What can you do? You can't do much here, right? When choosing supervisor, when choosing research, you don't know what kind of person your supervisor is, right? Do your personalities match or not? That you can't figure out. And in my case, I was fortunate in this regard. My doctoral supervisor, Coralia Kartis, she was very kind to me and she was very supportive. I had very difficult times in Oxford. There were gray skies above me and grounds were shaky. But having this support from other people, having a mentor who can who can lend you a hand of support is very important. And don't take this as some, you know, random advice and that, oh yeah, I know this, you know, it's fine. Please, if you have a chance to have a mentor, have a supervisor, then go for it. So at Nazarbayev University, I had Dr. Mark Lawrence. There were, of course, other people like Francesca Sica and Yogi and Domin Wei, but I think among all of them, Mark Lawrence was my, if I had to pick one person from the list, then I would pick Mark Lawrence as my advisor and as my guide. Since my, you know, since the outset of my bachelor's degree. At the University of Manchester, that was my master's supervisor, Martin Lotz. And I was very fortunate that Martin Lotz knew my doctoral supervisor, Karalia Kartis, in Oxford. So they were actually friends, and Martin Lotz worked in Oxford. And so Karalia Kartis knew Martin, and Martin knew Karalia. And and Karalia could ask Martin questions directly about me and how I'm doing in Manchester. And so Martin was kind of giving her live recommendation, you know, recommendations about me. Yeah, and here I have a quote, right, to sum up my presentation, or sum up this slide in particular. When I was doing the PhD in England, right, one candidate who actually failed his PhD, he said that if your supervisor doesn't want you to finish your PhD, you won't finish your PhD, okay? And that's actually pretty much true. Yeah, that's the case. And I personally know a couple of people who, in my cohort, they couldn't finish their PhDs, and usually it happens like you do your research, right? You're trying to do your best, but after some time, after a year or two, you realize that you made no progress in research. And then you start losing motivation, and then you kind of think, well, if I continue to carry on this way, I'm just gonna lose time, right? Waste time. So it's better, the optimal solution is just to give up and to move on. Yeah, sorry for ending my presentation on a negative note, but I hope this was engaging and informative.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. That was really informative and it was really engaging, at least for me. So any questions?
I have a question. You did your PhD in optimization, yes? Have you done any research when you were an undergraduate student at NU?
Yes, I did. I had a capstone project in my 4th year, and my advisor was Francesca Sica, and we did a project on in cryptography. So that was not related to optimization at all. But apart from that capstone project, I don't think I did research, although I was an interested guy. So I was interested in research. I was doing bits and pieces here and there, but the only progress I made was in the capstone project with Francesca Sica.
Yes, thank you. One more question. Like when you were studying at the NU, what courses do you think are a must to take for mass major students, apart from core courses?
My general advice would be broaden your spectrum of courses. Don't just focus on one area. Don't just take pure math courses or applied math courses or statistics courses. Take, bits and pieces here and there, because you never know, maybe in your master's, maybe in 2 years, you'll become more interested in statistics or applied maths or pure maths, who knows. So better to have a general background in bachelor's, and then you can specialize and deepen your knowledge in a specific area in your master's and PhD.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hello, I have a question, but not regarding the PhD, but about the countries that you studied. And why didn't you leave the UK after your master's degree to get PhD somewhere else?
Somewhere else? Well, so my other option was to go to US, right? It means that I had to study master's degree at NU, because in the US, the program is 2 years of master's and 3 years of PhD. If you do a master's degree, if you finish a master's degree in the UK, you have to do another master's in the US to do a PhD. I think that was my rationale. And I got an acceptance letter from Oxford, so I couldn't refuse.
Thank you.
Why did you decide to come back to Kazakhstan, or is it because of Bolashak?
Many people ask me this question. As you can imagine, for various reasons. One of them is Bolashak. The other one is family. The third one is maybe moral obligation to come back to Kazakhstan. I just didn't like the life in the West, and it was, you know, spending 5 years away from Kazakhstan and from my family was a bit difficult for me. And I realized that the people around me in the West, the atmosphere there wasn't for me, probably. You know, I couldn't imagine myself living there for a long time, permanently. Also, I wanted to come back and kind of share my experience and knowledge with local people, and not like I had a moral obligation, right? I studied at Nazarbayev University for free. I studied at school for free, right? My teachers sacrificed their time. So why not to come back and sacrifice my time?
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one question regarding your moral obligation? So it's not actually related to, I don't know, your path in mathematics. It's actually about the situation that you actually are not morally obliged to return to Kazakhstan because, as you know, how educational system works, you are not just studying for free. Actually, it's your parents who paid for your education with their taxes, and it's not only about your family, but also about what they do, in which sphere they work. So that is why, it's just my opinion, you are not morally obliged to return to Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I heard that from other people as well. Yeah, when I usually say this to people, they take this personally, and they try to argue with my rationale. But I think that's my understanding of how things work, and that was my decision.
Okay, thank you, Professor. I have a question. Are you doing any research right now as a postdoctoral scholar?
Am I doing research right now?
Yeah.
That's your question, right?
Yes.
Yes, actually, a postdoc is required to do research, and that's the main the main objective of this. My main goal should be to do research as a postdoc, and teaching should be something, you know, something additional. So yes, I am doing research, but linear programming is taking some time to prepare for.
Oh, yes, I have taken in the beginning, but decided to drop.
That's fine.
Also, one more question. Well, I'm asking for like the broad audience. Are you like kind of gathering a research team right now, like with assistants, maybe? I meant if our viewers are interested in your research, can they apply?
That's a good question. Well, I'm currently doing research with my colleagues in England. We haven't finished some projects yet, so I'm finishing off those projects. To say that I have started doing research locally, I can't say that. I didn't start any research locally yet. And I was by one person advised not to take students as assistants yet, okay? Because I don't know why. So due to lack of time, I guess, I will for now work alone. And maybe in the future when I'm mature enough, maybe when I'm an assistant professor here, then I will start taking students as my research assistants.
Thanks.
I also have a question. Do you think that you will add your own courses so that you can teach them?
Again, I couldn't catch.
I mean, do you think that you will add your own individual courses so that you can teach them?
My own individual courses.
I mean the courses that you can teach, but I mean but not others.
Yeah, I can teach linear programming. I can teach nonlinear optimization. The reason why Domin Wei gave me this course is because my specialty is optimization. In the past, Domin Wei, I think, was teaching linear programming. Yogi Yerlanga, he left. He was teaching linear programming. Nonlinear optimization was taught by Domin Wei, but they don't specialize in optimization, Domin Wei specifically. So he kind of entrusted this course to me, just because my PhD specializes in optimization. Regarding other courses in optimization, I think linear programming, nonlinear optimization is a good background in optimization. They give you good background. Just these two courses. There is one more course in optimization that could be taught here that's called integer programming. But integer programming is a totally different beast. I tell you that. It's a hard course, integer programming. Apart from these courses, I'm not sure what course I can teach in bachelor's, in optimization.
Okay, thank you. Also, you can ask questions not only not only Dr. Otemissov, also you can ask questions Alen, because now this is the last session. This is a long Q&A session with all of our guests. So does anyone have anything to ask?
Just a curiosity. What is the aim of SIAM chapter in Nazarbayev University, and what do you do, right?
Well, we specialize at applied mathematics. We conduct various events related to applied mathematics, like guest lectures with alumni, with people who work in industry, and we conduct also research talks with professors where they tell about their research. And also we are planning to conduct some regular cozy meetings with professors just to get to know them, not as an instructor, but as a person. Also, we conduct midterm nights where our peer tutors like help students get prepared for midterms, also math competitions, math football, math battle, well, events like that we conduct. And also we do some activity on social media, but not yet, just not yet.
And how many people are there in the committee, in the SIAM committee?
Currently, there are approximately 20 people in our club.
20 people in the committee. That's a big committee.
Also, we want to start research. So we looking for mentors.
Research as a SIAM team. Dr. Adiyev, have you, what extracurriculars do you have, like from undergraduate, from graduate, doctoral studies?
In undergraduate, I was the president of math club. Back then we had a math club. That was, I think, merged with SIAM chapter. We used to participate, or maybe still, I think guys go to competitions, right? International competitions to Bulgaria. Do you guys go?
Starting from this year, we are planning to go.
Okay. That was, and I was also doing some sports in my undergraduate. So I had very little time in my undergraduate. In my master's, I continued doing sport. No maths club, of course, because that was left behind in Nazarbayev University. And apart from doing sports, I didn't do anything in my master's. In my PhD, my extracurricular activities, sports again, exercising, and got interested in psychology. I mean, didn't take courses in psychology, of course, but just some YouTube videos. But apart from that, there were no other extracurricular activities.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Alen. Alen, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
So are you considering applying for PhD or only master's?
Yes, actually, I'm considering because, but only to US, since only US accept PhD students directly from bachelor's, but I need to spend a lot of time to decide which programs exactly to go to. I didn't decide yet.
Okay, and are you going to any maybe special centers to help you, to advise you with, or you are just searching by yourself?
I'm searching by myself and asking our professors if they have some suggestions, especially Domin Wei have really good background in this, so he can help always.
Okay, thank you. There is a question for Dr. Otemissov. So, Adlet, have you watched The Beautiful Mind? It's about John Nash and the fake he visited NU some year.
Yes, I did watch Beautiful Mind, and yes, John Nash came to Nazarbayev University, and I think he came when I was here. I'm not sure, but I didn't care meeting him for some reason. Maybe I didn't have time. Yeah, but he died. I think he died a few years ago in a car crash, just after he received Abel Prize in mathematics. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions or anything you want to share with students? So, I have no questions yet. Okay. So let's sum up today's session. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for our guests for devoting your time. I would like to. Okay, can we contact you if we have some questions? There was a question from chat.
Yes, sure. You can contact me anytime on Telegram or whenever you want.
Can you please share your Telegram in the chat?
Yes, okay.
Can you please share a number?
And
Okay,
yes, you can contact me as well via email.
Okay. So we will share the recording of today's session on our Telegram channel, and also we will share presentations of our today's guests. So thank you all for coming and devoting your time. We really appreciate everything. If there are no more questions and no more things to cover, I guess we can stop here. So thank you.